right, here we are. It is Wednesday. Welcome. I guess I'm starting.
Yeah, good morning. Surprise.
Surprise. I didn't. Do we have music? We probably didn't because it wasn't going out.
Yeah, it didn't look like it. Although, yeah,
No, it probably wasn't.
Fun with being your own producer, right?
That's it. Yeah. So, hey, it's a live show. What do you expect? So welcome everyone. It's Wednesday. This is the Talk Show. My name is Rich. That's Chris, and we're gonna try and do some more work on TagzApp. We really want to get this committed. I was watching Jeff's CSharp Fritz stream yesterday, and he had a lot of community involvement with people updating the application to do some really cool things from a theming perspective, do some things with accessibility around colors, a lot of really good suggestions and comments and some things that are being included inside of TagzApp. And we want to get our commit over there as well because we got it working. Well, we got it running in the container. I think what we want to do is just make sure that all of the messages flow in and out when we run it inside of a container that way from a dev perspective. So that's where we want to handle today. And with that, hey, Chris, how's it going?
Doing okay. Little gloomy here today, but not here on the show, right? That's what we're gonna say.
No, it's fun here.
Yeah, and it was interesting watching. I caught a little bit of the stream yesterday, but unfortunately, it's a lot of times it's during the workday here in the U.S. and it was just one of those days that I couldn't stick around and watch as much as I'd like to. But it's really exciting to see how it's moved along, some of the moderation features that are coming into this app, and some of the use cases, because I think, as we've seen, part of where it was tested was at .NET Conf itself, to be kind of like that digital dashboard of social media interaction. And it's funny, you'd feel like that would be a more solved problem, except that the social media platforms themselves don't seem to work very hard on it. So
yeah, that is interesting. And a lot of it is I think a lot of it is video related, right? It's not like a social media platform for all of the various types of capabilities that are out there, but it's definitely video focused. So
sure.
I was thinking of, I was originally thinking, we could probably, we do Code Camp. We could stand something that for Code Camp. Well, Code Camp's not video. So
right.
Doesn't really work. But
right. No, it's good. So there's navigating, and this is interesting. There's a lot of lessons in this, navigating an open source repo, figuring out, how can you fit your code in without making a mess for the maintainer.
Right. Which is kind of where we are now.
Yeah. There might be a little bit of an art to having your pull request accepted, especially in a big project.
Yeah.
So
especially with a big community like that and all the work that they're doing. So absolutely. Right. So if we're good, I guess the one thing I want to mention from a news perspective, just to be aware, I think I have this article up somewhere. One sec. Yes, I do. All right, let me share my screen because I'm not sharing to you. Present, share screen. It's a window. It's this window. And just to be aware that GitHub Enterprise, Copilot Enterprise, now became generally available. There was like a private preview, but this is kind of the next version of GitHub Copilot. So there's like three. There's GitHub Copilot for individuals. So on my repo, I have an instance or a license for that. And then there's also GitHub Copilot for business. So if you're in an organization, they might license Copilot for their developers and infrastructure teams because it helps everybody who writes any kind of code, including scripting. And then Enterprise is that next version, which starts to take advantage of some of the cool features not just around your code, but around the entire process of building out code. So here, getting that deeper understanding of the organization's code base. So being able to ask questions of your code base as you're getting started to work on an issue. Same thing with looking at projects and having a Copilot chat be there right over top of your code and be able to ask questions around, in this case, how these talks can be submitted through the application form. So all the things that have to go through that process. So really interesting ways of starting to jump into a code base and, much like we do with TagzApp, jump into a code base and start asking it questions, which, well, that might be something to try. Okay.
Yeah,
we'll
sure.
park that. And then also helping you with reviewing pull requests. So a lot of great features that are here on the enterprise side, and much more to come as they continue to enhance that capability and expand on the capabilities of Copilot. And I'll be honest, I love it. I've been using it, and the biggest challenge I have in using it is not going the years of muscle memory of saying I've got a question, going out to Bing and asking the question there, and just saying, oh, what does Copilot say? And going there first, because at least in my experience so far, 9 times out of 10 at least, it's giving me some kind of a decent answer that I can at least expand on and either ask more questions or at least start to go down a path that makes sense. So highly recommend if you haven't had a chance to play around with it yet. And yes,
sometimes the
Microsoft
starter,
just in case.
yeah, and that's a different thing from what Copilot was known for originally, was that in I don't know if I'd want to call it like IntelliSense, like it's not necessarily, but that experience of proposing code as you're typing.
Yep.
This is asking questions about your code, right? Like what does this method do? How do I fix the bug in this method? I mean, I guess you can ask questions as plain as that.
And we can do that now, right? And we can we can point to a class and say, well, tell me, what does this class do, or explain this method to us, or those kind of things. This is that example with the chat window inside of a project is actually looking at the project overall, which is something that customers, when we talk to them, certainly want to do, but didn't necessarily have completely the capabilities of doing it with previous things. Wow, that's fun. We're just going to get rid of this. 1 second. By teams. All right, that's better. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so cool. So if you're interested, go try it out. Yeah. Let's talk about, let's get rid of this. Let's talk about TagzApp. So this is what I've been working with, which is this one here. And I know, Chris, you and I have done a couple of different, gone down a couple different paths to try and get TagzApp configuration up and running on our machines. I will say this particular instance of it is, and we kind of debated a little bit about this on the show when we started. I took the last version that we had, which had the running version of the dev container components that we did on the previous show, where we did that merge of Jeff's branch into our environment here. The problem is Jeff had continued to make enhancements, and including some first time running enhancements. Right, there's actually a page in there that does a first time loading of this application, and brings in, gives you the option of doing a SQLite or actually talking to a Postgres database if you have that up and running. So some good options there if you're first getting a running TagzApp locally. I basically pulled that into my branch and basically rebased against that, accepting all of those changes. So the only difference is going to be I've got the dev container folder inside of here, and then that from last week when I did his pull request to, I think it was called Fix First Start was his branch. That was the one that we pulled forward from.
Okay.
So keeping, and I probably can pull this up on, if I just do this 1 second.
Oh. Yeah, I pulled the repository this morning and just tried to compile main, and I'm not sure why I don't know why I'm having trouble. But I'm going to try it again.
You do that. I'm going back to here. So this is the And I should probably look and see when that was last checked in. So that was 3 days ago. Oops. Clicking too fast. That was 3 days ago when Jeff did that. Mine was probably before that.
Okay, so it completed here. So the issue I think I kept running into is the TagzApp context CS file in the TagzApp storage Postgres little library. I think because we've been updating it and he's been updating it, is that I kept colliding without being very cognizant of resetting to where he's at. So it just built for me now. And now I'm wondering, can I layer in the dev container stuff and see it go? Because I'm pretty sure our dev container work, we had some commits. But I think in the end, it boils down to a dev container JSON, a Docker Compose YAML, and a Docker file.
Exactly.
Right. So I feel like I could just layer those back in. And then there was something about our dev container JSON, if I remember correctly, where we have been, it seems like every time, even though it's the C# dev kit edition that doesn't seem to drop in easily. Like for some reason, it always wants to, and maybe that's part of C#, because C# dev kit is a little, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like it's a little different of an extension in that there's plenty of extensions that just extend Visual Studio Code, and they just tinker, they just kind of poke at the edges of the IDE, and so there's really nothing to do. But I think C# dev kit is like, no, hold on, let me make sure .NET 7's installed, and I'm not sure what else it's really doing. So in any case, I think that I'm in a position to run this thing. So I'm curious to see where you're at and how close we are to saying like, yeah, you could develop this thing in a container, and you could, which is really neat because I don't even have Postgres installed on my local machine.
Well, yeah, so that would be where we would want to take advantage of the SQLite capabilities and making sure that works. So here is kind of where, and I'm not sure if I get rid of all the breakpoints or not, but we're running a different app. So in this latest version, it's no longer the TagzApp.web, it's TagzApp.blazor. Did it hit a breakpoint? It looks like it did. Oh, wait a minute. That's why. Stop. I had this up here, remembering I had to do this. I had to turn on my Postgres database so that we can communicate with it. Sorry, give that a second to warm up here.
Now, in this case, this is you working locally to prove that it works.
Exactly. So I'm using Visual Studio, not Visual Studio Code. I wanted to get that one thing out of the mix. So provider name is trying to go ahead and connect to Postgres, which is awesome. We're going to let that run. And then what it's doing is, you'll see this in a second, it's actually configuring up, looking for configuration information in our in the table in the Postgres database. Since it has a connection to that, I can show that if we go here and do, well, there's TagzApp. Bring that back here. Let's go. You guys have seen this before. This is just connecting to the Postgres via the localhost tags and our Postgres database. Give it a user or a password. I can do our data tables. That's what we've got there for tables. And then from here, I can do a select command, select star from system configuration. Cool. And then that essentially is what the records in our database, and we have two, right? We've got a Twitch ID, which I think was there by default, and then provider Mastodon that's in there. And the reason those are in there is because if we actually look at TagzApp itself, the other thing that Jeff did here, which is really cool, is essentially logging you in as an admin to begin with if you're running locally. So you can see here that I've got my cool. I think I can just do, hey, how about that? I'm getting better at this. I can just be logged in as Fu Magoo as the admin here and be able to run the app. So that gives me essentially access to our admin page, which is where we can start to change some of the things that are in there. So if we look at our hashtags, we can basically drop a hashtag into it for this. That I've not seen get added, right? So I've dropped that there. And it's not, if I do back queue out of that, there was a place where we were seeing all of the traffic. Maybe that was through, I have to remember, because it was interesting to see how it was reaching out and communicating to Postgres. And I will think about that for a minute, but we may come back and look at that. But it wasn't dropping this hashtag in there, essentially. So, but if we could,
are you saying that is that for Twitter, or no, you could use Mastodon? It looks like, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it would be for any of these. What is the hashtag that we're looking for, and pull those messages aside, regardless of what service.
The only one that you had green was Mastodon. It looked like.
Yeah, because I think that's a local thing.
Oh, okay. I remember yesterday, and I didn't get the details, something about how Twitter was deactivated on the stream because I guess you have to pay for the Twitter. I don't know the details, though.
It's possible to pay for the Twitter API now, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I'm wondering if we could link up Twitch chat, and then we would just type, right?
Yep. Because I tried to go down that path and say, hey, this is our channel name, but we don't have any of the other values. So if we want to wire that up, that could be something we could do here, and then see if we can get that as a configuration saved, and then be able to use that for testing.
Right.
So if I go to, let's see where this one, and if I go to, what? That's interesting. It opened the browser in my persona, but it won't give me access to any of the other personas. That's interesting. Well, we can change that real quick. Let's do this. Let's do our Dev Talk show. Because this account should have access to create its own. And it's, oh, look, it's us.
Yeah.
Who are those guys?
And then it just keeps going.
I think isn't it like dev.twitch.com? There we go. And we could log in with Twitch. I'm going to do this off screen. That tells you how long it's been since I've logged in. Do you know that they disabled our ability to log in with email?
Oh. Maybe
we should get you to do this. I don't remember the password.
Okay. Let me see if I can get let me see where I'm at on this. Because like you said, it's been a little while since I think we've gone to that dashboard, but let's see.
Yeah, because everything we've been doing has been through StreamYard, and that kind of meets everything for us.
Okay. Is the developer console available from? I probably have to go to dev.twitch.tv like you did, right?
I think so. I'm not. I mean, you could have a link to it off of the main, the main thing, but I think it will probably force you to re-authenticate.
Yeah, I've kind of forgotten. So now there is a two-factor going right now. That may be.
Oh, yep. That just got pinged. I was wondering who's texting me. Hang on.
Yeah.
I'll I'll drop to you in StreamYard. Hang on.
Okay.
It's banner private chat, which should be you. Did that go?
I don't see it yet, actually.
Hang on. Let's just do this.
Oh, wait a second. You're talking over. Oh, hold on. I know what you're talking about now. So I gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
So.
Awesome. We might have to switch to your screen. Well, although you do it securely.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm not going to. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to switch for a second, but I may have to.
Yeah.
Once I figure out what we're doing here. So it looks like this. Okay.
Nice.
So when you log into Twitch developers, I'm pretty sure what we want is an application, because then we'll get a secret and everything, right?
Yeah. Did you do this for your stream? Didn't we do this when we did that console app that was looking at the messages?
We have, yeah. We have done this before. So if I say register your application, now I'm going to go through this.
Mm-hmm.
And what we'll probably get is like a client ID, client secret that we're not going to use. But at least it kind of shows everybody so if I say TagzApp test app, I mean, it doesn't really matter, I don't think.
Doesn't, yeah.
This is interesting. An OAuth redirect URL. So I don't know if it's good enough to just say, yeah, I don't know if we're good enough to just say localhost here.
Localhost :7106. Although we could put a dev tunnel up and do that.
That's true too.
And persist it.
Do this and then select a category, and we're going to say website integration, and then we'll say now I think what's going to happen, because I'm just curious. Okay, cool. So this is registered, but I don't see the secrets yet. So I'm wondering, I just want to go look and manage real quick. Oh, that doesn't actually do anything, because I shared the window. So let me switch to this.
Yep, good point.
I just want to see. Okay. So what happens is you get a window with a client ID, and then you click a button to get a secret.
Okay.
So that's I'm going to generate that secret now. And those should be available to both of us. And then I'm going to head back to the application dashboard. And we should be okay there. So, oops. Well, no, that's fine. So if you're wondering in the future where that stuff was, it's sitting in the manage button. And we'll see what happens. We'll see. So
yeah,
I'm going to stop the presenting there. Sometimes I don't mind going through that process and then immediately deleting the application on stream and then saying, okay, now let me do it off screen, just so that folks who say, hey, I want to follow through myself and see what it looks like.
So the cool thing is that Jeff's application realizes that is the secret is a password, and I've got the bubbles there with the way to open it up. The client ID, not so much, right? But it does go. It's not the complete client ID. It's probably 2/3 of it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just hit save. Oh, and it's going to save that setting back to the TagsApp database. So we're going to let that run. And it looks like it is completed. Let's go. Never. Thanks. although it's not green. The thing it's asking for, though, is an OAuth token. Do you see one of those on the... I mean, that should be what happens after, as a result of going through the client ID secret dance.
Yeah. See, what I'm unsure about is if it goes and gets a token, or do you...
That could be interesting. We should be able to, in the code... Let me close that up before that unfortunately gets seen. Okay. Okay. Well, so in our configuration database, we now have, in clear text, in the system configuration, we have the client ID and secret. So don't show the system configuration database anymore, is the reason I'm mentioning it. Okay. Boom. So let's do this. Let's share my screen again. Oh, interesting. Okay. Here, not going to open the Twitch chat for right now. I wonder... Oh, here we go. Getting OAuth tokens. Requires access to tokens to access resources. Yeah, makes sense. But a bunch of different...
Probably quiet credentials flow, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So they're saying go ahead and get it yourself, huh? Okay.
That's
I
what
got
they're
him.
saying?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Dev.twitch.tv. Let me go look at these docs too, because I was just a little surprised. That's all.
Yeah, same.
Right. So,
I mean, it looks like you could just do this, filling in the values.
yeah, you can send a curl request, and it's basically looks just like that. And or you could use an HTTP file in Visual Studio, and it'll pop it out. Which,
what I'm looking for, though, is to see... Those are all the different ways. I guess the question then is, well, how long does the OAuth token last? Right? Usually they're an hour.
yeah. I guess that's not entirely clear.
What's up?
How long these things last. I mean, you can figure it out from the expires. Okay, and then I need to know. Send a post request here. And then it's going to want... Okay. So
Oh, hang on. Well, that's wild.
one of these days we'll have to do a show where, like, maybe we use some tooling to add these things to an app, and then the way you kind of have to do it is you, at least, I mean, you don't have to do it this way, but in order to remove the mystery for people, I think you just kind of like, you create a registration, you put in all the secrets, and then you say like, yeah, now we're going to go delete that registration.
Right.
so that all of you watching can't use it, but at least, somebody who wants to follow along for themselves, it isn't so much working off screen. For example, what I did there is now look, curl is cool, and I don't have a problem with curl at all, but what I tend to find myself doing nowadays is creating HTTP files, which can be used in Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code, and used in, like, just every editor nowadays, I think, has an HTTP extension to basically have a REST client built in. And the reason I like doing that is like I said, curl is awesome, but now I save this file.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have that ability to send the request again and send it again and send it again. And it's just easier, in my opinion. So
yeah, definitely. Okay, so there's definitely some sample data inside of TagzApp, so there's that.
Oh, that's cool.
It took a little bit for it to load. I guess it was trying to see if it could make a connection, but want to see if we're still red.
So are you ready to share again or no?
Oh, yes, because I took care of adding.
Yeah, we had to switch off of it.
Yep. Okay.
So we're seeing your system admin screen now.
Yeah. So what we could do is see where we might be able to that's assembly info. That's no. So it should have all of this. We should get. I'm not sure. What I'm not sure is how we kick it back off. Right? How does it? Go ahead and get that information. Let's see if there's something. That provider. So this looks like where everything would be happening. I don't want to restart the app. Let me just come over here for a second. Interesting. So saving it over here didn't seem to kick anything off. Maybe our channel name's not right? Is there a way to, on your side, when you were in that And maybe I have the app wrong too, because I have the bot name as TagzApp test app.
I don't know how this makes a decision to I don't know if it's tied to a channel. I don't
think it's
know.
tied to a channel.
Right. So I don't know how we say that it's our channel.
Well, it should already be in there. I guess the channel name's the important part. Is it just the Dev Talk Show?
I don't know that there's anything in. Let's see. I mean, it says the Dev Talk Show's console. I did name the app. The URL, like we set it to 7106.
Right, for the redirect.
Right.
So I have the client ID. I have the secret. I have chatbot name is TagzApp test app. I have an OAuth token, and I have a channel name as the Dev Talk Show. Now I have it right now as all lowercase, but I could probably make it. I don't know. Did we do the camel case on that one, or the Pascal case, where it's every other?
I did. So
okay. See what that does.
Receives a chat client. The Twitch chat provider receives a chat client. So are you supposed to run TagzApp.blazor? Yeah, TagzApp.blazor, right?
Correct.
Okay. Because that ran in Visual Studio, but when I brought up the dev container, it blows up. Not sure why.
That's why we're running through it.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what it's upset about. Like it's like the .NET restore doesn't. Oh, what is all this stuff? Maybe the problem isn't what I think it is.
Oh, because that's up to you. That's fine.
I think the problem might actually be related to I just have the wrong set of code here in the container right now.
The wrong set. Oh, well,
yes,
that's possible.
In fact, I'm more and more sure that that's what it is. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try setting this difference in main. Okay. Yeah. So I think the problem was when the container opened,
Mm-hmm.
it opened old. It opened old code, I think, except it's still. Oh no. Okay, that looks a little bit better now. So now if I try a .NET restore, and this is in the dev container. So I know you're trying to just get it working outside of it too.
Yes.
Oh, there's something still not right here.
We are yellow.
Is that good?
Let's see. Oh, no tags tagged. Click the block the header start tracking tags.
Well, sample data comes up. That's a good sign. You're saying that
It is a
sample
good
data
sign.
already in the database?
I believe it is, or it's part of the class that makes that happen. Oh, an exception. Oh, because we initialized the client and we were waiting for it. It didn't respond in an appropriate time. All right, let's try this. No. That's fine. We're going to run that. We're going to listen for messages. That brings up the app. It's not saving our tags. We'll figure that out. And it might be yellow because it's waiting for the response. Yeah, it's just basically coming back with the sample stuff. And then at some point, my guess is this is gonna fire back and. Yep. Receive thread messages null. This is all part of. Okay. All right. I think we're hitting a.
Oh, I think my mic was on mute. The big problem that I've kind of had is just understanding how to run TagzApp so that I feel confident that, the dev container is doing what we want. And really all I want to see is just a hashtag come up.
Right.
I'll be happy.
Totally agree with you.
So,
but from what it looks like so far is we're not even getting yeah. Connection attempt failed because the connected party did not properly respond after a period of time. So we're not even connecting to Twitch basically at this point.
Yeah, and I've done that before. Like I've written code to do that. So I kind of feel like I wonder if I stepped through just to understand exactly what it's doing. I mean, it's been a little while,
Sure.
but I still have the code. So
so basically if you do this F12 and we can get to we wound up getting into what we were doing. Is it not that one? Yeah, let's run it again because we'll get to here. Get the Twitch chat provider, and then we hit F5 and we get to here listening for messages, and that'll take us down to the client init, and then we'll F11 to step into this, and then we get to here. There's a connect one, and then there's send message, post message, whisper message, receive messages. That's where we were getting the error because that was null. Okay. So connect. That sends us into here. It's a TCP client. Interesting. And then once that happens, I lose the thread.
mm-hmm.
And then at that point, we're waiting for it to come back. So it created a new TCP client. I wonder, begin IRC authentication to Twitch, pass the OAuth token, the chatbot name as a user.
Makes you wonder if in the long term that port's going to have to be open. I don't know. I don't know. That could be jumping the gun on that. So, because
especially coming from, I mean, I'm not on corporate network. I'm on a network that is more permissible to some of that traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get our exception back that the connection failed.
So the good news is, while you're doing that,
yeah.
I mean, I guess I can show you what I've done here, which isn't super exciting. At least I guess it's kind of progress. Exciting, but yeah. Let me see. So this is TagzApp just now starting out of this Visual Studio Code environment, running in the dev container. And if you're wondering, like, well, you said you were having trouble with it, what I ended up doing was saying rebuild the container, and I'm
Sure.
not 100% sure why. I don't know what settings change has happened that rebuilding the container seems to at least allow me to build to .NET build, and yes, there's a bunch of warnings, whatever, but it ran, and then like I said, now it's running, and oops, I think, which one did I want? And here we are, 127.001.5125, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like, okay. And then you had told me something though about how when it opens up, it logs you in as an admin, and see, it's not doing that for me, which I think is weird.
Right. And I'm wondering if you're on the older code base with that one, which would make sense.
Well, except I pulled it from, so I don't know. I mean, I thought, I guess I could be wrong, but I thought this is it, right? Like, this is like the latest, I think. But maybe I'm wrong.
Is that so? That's looking at Jeff's TagzApp main.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm looking at his TagzApp main, and this is the branch here, origin,
Can you look
main,
at?
and so I don't know.
Sorry. Can you look at fix underscore first start branch?
Sure, I probably can.
Oh, okay. I see.
Except I don't know why the branches aren't coming up. Oh, because see, why aren't all the different branches and tags? Are they tagged? They're not tags, right?
They are not tags, no.
Yeah. So what the heck is going on?
Well, wait. Are you on Fritz and Friends or C# Fritz?
This is Fritz and Friends.
Yeah, that one doesn't have it.
See, they seem, that's so weird because they all seem to.
Yeah.
I guess I'm really confused as to what's going on in they all seem to have the same. So I don't know what commit I should be building off of, I guess. Maybe that's the trick.
That might be, yeah.
Is add sharp. Oh, that's it right there. Perfect. And so here's C# Fritz. Problem is that I feel like it doesn't do, yeah. So let me just fetch out of here.
Yeah. Sometimes we don't feel all that smart.
Yeah.
Like today when we're trying to run through stuff.
It's not going
thank
so
you,
well.
Vira Krieger, for watching and joining us today. That you're doing a telework day, which is awesome.
So here's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
This main branch on my local machine, on local and on C# Fritz and on Fritz and Friends, is all pointing to the same commit called added mute function to card. Oh, that's the description. But the commit is 091816. And I feel like it's the same commit, isn't it? Like, what am I missing here? Did you say fix first start is where I should be looking?
That was what I pulled from. Because
okay,
at that point, fix first start was not put back into the main branch yet.
Well,
he was still
that's
working
true.
on those features.
That's true. You can see that main is here.
Yep.
And then some work is being done. And I'm guessing the plan is eventually pop back in here. So in that case, what I could do, I see what you're saying, is I could grab this. Okay. And that's on and you're right. That is only, I love how GitKraken puts the little organizational pictures in there. That's only on the C# Fritz version. So like here I am in my Git folder. I've got remotes declared for C# Fritz, but then I've also got one declared for it's called origin. Sometimes I wish, well, that's because I cloned from there. Okay, so I see what you're saying. Is I could, and again, I think you have a hard stop coming up, right?
Yeah, probably in about 10, 15 minutes at most.
Okay.
What
So
I'm
I
thinking of
could.
doing locally here while you're running through that is I'm going to run a local, I think it's a telnet command to see if I can communicate with that endpoint and just make sure that's a valid endpoint.
Okay, obviously a bunch of stuff going on there. So let me close the container. Close remote connection. Fine. Now, let's just come all the way back out here. Status, fine. Okay. Now we're going to say git reset, and we'll say C# Fritz. And what was the commit that I wanted, or the branch at least? Is fix first start, I suppose. It's fine. Okay, so let's do. I guess I should spell it right. Was it? Yes. Okay, that is what it is. And so what this should do is, no, it didn't work. Oh, what I probably need to do is have. Okay, so I have now moved head to 72E8E9D, which is this commit. So good, 72E8E9. So they match. So I am now here. And yes, main is, well, I accidentally pointed main here, but it doesn't matter. I don't care. So it doesn't matter that much. I am pointing right there, and it's on my main branch, and it matches up that. Okay, fine. Now that I've done that, I want to come in here. Oh, wait. It does contain a dev container. It still has my old dev container. Okay, fine. So let's reopen it. And like you said, maybe it does. Maybe that was it, is that I'm trying to build configuration files change. Sure. Let's rebuild it. It didn't seem to take that long, which I'm not sure why. Maybe because I already have the images down for 801 and Postgres and all that stuff. So,
Yeah,
okay.
it could be.
All right. So that's not so bad. And now, do I want to install? I'm not going to do that right now. Switch to TagzApp Blazor. And let's just .NET run.
Fire it away.
Because that'll do it all. It takes a second, but it doesn't take that long. Like it's gonna do a .NET restore, I think, maybe. Maybe it's going to.
Maybe.
Interesting.
So this is hanging on 44.237.40.50.
It's hanging on what?
So the TCP telnet for that IP address.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there's a lot of warnings in the app. So as an aside, how do you feel about warnings in an app?
It initially gives me panic because you see there's often lots of them, right?
Right.
But there's also they're just warnings, right?
Oh, you're right. You were right about everything you said. Look at that.
Hey.
Okay. That's running out of it. So I've been playing with the wrong commit last night and everything. This is the commit that I wanted to build off of.
Yep.
So look at this. We got a great
That's a
timely question.
Perfect comment. Yep.
Yeah. So what it's saying there, and in this particular case, and again, we have really been flying today. So if anybody watching was new to dev containers, Visual Studio Code, running out, it would just be like, what are you guys doing? So
right, we just jumped in because we got a short amount of time.
So in C# and in other languages, C had this, C++ had this. sometimes the compiler will give you a warning, which is just saying, this isn't really the best thing in the world. And all growing up, I think I've actually met many great developers who just ignore warnings. They'll even kind of chuckle like, oh, it's just a warning. And I actually try very hard in my own projects to get rid of them. And because what happens inevitably is you start with one, and then eventually one day your file is 0 errors, 400 warnings. And I'm not saying it's bad, right? Because they are warnings. Like, for example, this is saying here, this non-nullable property users must contain a non-null value when exiting the constructor. So what this is saying is that particular bit of code, the compiler is detecting that it is possible to come out of that constructor with a null value. It must not be doing it because the app would blow up. But it's saying that I looked at the code and it's possible. And so it's just telling you like, hey, if you're going to keep the code this way, maybe the property should be nullable. And if I went and made it nullable, that warning would go away. But that might not be what the developer's intent is, especially because it sounds like this project is using, it's funny how the terminology makes you feel like it's backwards. This technology is using C#'s nullable references, which means you have to explicitly say when a reference is nullable or not, right? So it doesn't really matter what I'm like. That's not my point. My point is the compiler is saying, I detected that something bad could happen, but the code might work just fine. Where an error is specifically when, and those are going to come up in red in this particular console, is when it's saying like, I can't build the app. And it could be as simple as just you type something wrong, or more complicated things of like, sorry, that particular class you tried to use doesn't exist. I don't know where it is. I can't, I don't know what you did. Mm-hmm. So that's totally a different thing. But I actually do think it's a good practice to try to get rid of warnings as soon as possible, and either turn on warnings as errors, which can be really, it's hard to do that later. You almost have to do that at the beginning of your project. Try to do it later. And just for me, because then the reason why I like it is because now I don't know what's going on in blocked users Razor 7235, but I guess we can jump to it. And I'm presuming that here on line 72, that what it's saying is it's saying, you've got this private users, but you didn't make it nullable. And the reason I know that is because there'd be a question mark here. Mm-hmm. And it must be feeling like, I can get out of the constructor and this is null, but you said that shouldn't be allowed. So I'm just warning you that bad stuff could happen. And I wonder if you cure the whole thing just by saying, if you say enumerable.empty blocked user, does that just cure it? The problem now is I'd have to go looking for that particular, right? I have to go look for that warning and be like, hey, it's gone. So yeah. I mean, and here's the thing about it too. Different languages have different concepts of warnings and errors. Like, for example, if I go back far enough, if I go back to my days of BASIC, which many people who are a little bit older, like if you're a Gen Xer, you probably wrote BASIC. You probably wrote 10 print hello, 20 go to 10, because when we were all kids in middle school, high school, we thought the school system thought everybody's got to learn to do this. And so we all sat at our Apple IIs in the library or whatever, the computer lab, and they taught us BASIC. I mean, everybody my age seems to remember that stuff, either using the logo turtle or GW Basic. So I'm giving a history lesson to folks that are way younger than I am. And that language didn't have warnings. It just ran. That was an interpreter. It ran and then it blew up when it hit the first problem. And C# is a compiled language. So was C, the language, C and C++, the languages that I think it was most inspired by, including, like Java also has this concept as well. But I don't know about other languages. Like, for example, I've been wanting to learn Go, but I don't know if Go has warnings and errors, and I don't know if Rust has the same concepts. I just don't. and it's just
Right.
because there's so much to learn in this world, So can't learn it all.
We try.
Yeah, try anyway. But I'm curious. I wonder if that's all you have to do to cure that one. Maybe Jeff's watching and he'll be like, "Oh, I can cure all those errors." And that's just me simply saying, "You gave me an enumerable. Why don't I set it to an empty list, an empty collection?" Which I personally think is a good practice, to not have collections be null unless you have a really good reason. But it's not the end of the world. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not sitting.
True.
Obviously, the app works. So, yeah, okay. So it ran in the container,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw that admin page. So now I think, this is just me, I think the trick is, can I get one of these TagzApp providers working? If you and I can get one of them working, and we just see that kind of happening, writing to the database, then it's like, okay, I think this is the pull request. So, although I can say, we've got our files here, we've got our.
Yeah, I mean, we can always re-add them. Get the latest and drop them in.
Yep.
Not a problem. How do you want to? Do you want to split? Do you want to keep going on the Twitch one since you had that going? And I'll try
I'll certainly try to get. I would certainly like to try and see if I could get the Dev Talk Show Twitch feed going, just because we can just type right here and see that it's working. So
and we can get those in the chat to type right there, as we've had some help as well. So cool.
All right, so a little convoluted. This was a little bit more of a just figuring things out live.
Yeah.
But
which we needed to do. We hadn't done something, but this was good.
There is some exciting stuff coming though, because I think we're close. So I'll tell you, I rewatched the episode last year where we started working on the login component, because the Blazor identity stuff that you get in .NET 8 gives you a series of it's component based, but everything's a page. Login's a page, logout's a page. And I wanted a component. And there were some people who, even in the comments, who said, "Hey, I'm heading the same direction." And so I rewatched that episode, and it was actually kind of educational. I didn't realize how much I'd forgotten. Which just goes to show, man, identity and authorization authentication is it's not like riding a bike.
No.
So I think we can get back into that, make that a full-fledged component, and start working. I think I kind of have this idea. Working with the identity templates is great. The authentication-based templates is great, but what if you take the non-authentication-based template? Can we put the stuff back in?
Right.
I feel like if you do that, then you really have it mastered. So,
yeah, definitely.
We'll see.
Because then you understand it to a really good level.
Yeah, and we know we're not the only ones asking these questions. So,
this is true.
All right, Rich.
Cool.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm off to go do a customer thing, and you have something tomorrow, right? Morning.
I do. Tomorrow morning, I'm not available, but Friday I am. So, I think that's good.
I would like to come back and maybe do this.
Yeah.
If not, I have something else I'm working on that we could look at as well.
Okay.
So, I want to do something tomorrow, and then we can try and do something Friday if you're around too.
Yep, I'll be around Friday. So.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for joining us in the chat today as well.
Yes, definitely. And we'll see you next time on the Dev Talk Show.